This video will be episode 37, starting on day 249 of the Black Lion Origins campaign. Last episode, we took Lanniken, and pretty soon afterwards, the Battanians came to siege Abcomer. We then started hunting enemy warbands and recruiting troops from our villages in order to put together an army to relieve that siege on Abcomer. So if we win this siege against Abcomer, we will then be in a very good position to wow. We managed to catch 3 Battanian warbands all at once. This is practically an army of itself. I was saying, if we're able to win the siege at Abcomer, then we'd be in a very good position to push on to Pencanic and then complete the core of our kingdom. So this is my standard strategy, especially in a army against army battle, which this is essentially, is to put my archers in the foreground in a spread formation, and then standing directly behind them are my infantry, which are primarily polearm wielding troops. I'll put them on the hold fire command, because if you don't, they will default to trying to hit the enemy cavalry with their throwing axes, which they're terrible at. And then when the enemy cavalry come charging through them, well, they don't have their polearm equipped in order to do anything about that. And so it is not very effectual. So yeah, you want to put your infantry on hold fire when dealing with cavalry, so that they'll have their polearm equipped in order to stand up the enemy horses as they charge through your archers' ranks. And that effectively deals with the enemy cavalry. Once the enemy cavalry is dealt with, you're actually best served to go ahead and put them on open fire command again, because it's pretty beneficial for them to throw axes at incoming infantry. They can actually hit those targets, they don't move as quickly, and they can have a pretty devastating effect with that. I've had a spree of bad engagements for myself. Like my warband has done well for me. Oof, man, that was scary. I almost I did get stunned with 2 archers standing right in front of me, but thankfully they had their swords and shields equipped rather than their crossbows, and I survived. So yeah, I was saying, I've been having a spree of bad performances for myself, and I've got to turn that around if we're not going to end up, back at square one with this this push to create a kingdom. What I'm doing here is I'm trying to reposition my troops and get them to face the enemy infantry, so that we can get this battle going. I can't be trying to do the whole bit on my own anymore. It's not working out for me. So I was telling my troops to move forward, and because my troops were moving forward, then the enemy cavalry decided to start engaging them, and that can be a kind of a game of of red light, green light, because you don't want your troops moving while being advanced on by enemy cavalry. If they are, then that's a recipe for losses. So as the enemy cavalry starts to close in on you, then you give the F1, F6 command and stop your troops in their tracks, so that they can deal with the cavalry. Once the cavalry is dealt with, generally speaking, the enemy infantry will then engage on you. As you can see, they're moving on our position now, so we get to take the defensive position, which is a huge advantage on the battlefield. Being as I'm so low on health and anticipating the enemy engaging on us, which I may have spoken too soon, they might not actually be prepared to do that yet. I was gonna say I was gonna look to dismount my horse and fight melee and or use my bow, but it looked like they reconsidered attacking my defensive position and put their archers out front in order to counter my own archers. I'm going to move my troops closer. I believe my archers are superior to theirs, and they certainly outnumber them. And so if they want to take an archer fight, then I'm happy to do so. I'm looking for a vantage where I can maybe shoot at them and have them not be shooting at me, but they're close enough to the edge of the map that becomes difficult. Like, I don't want to be too close to them, otherwise I'm going to be taking shots, and I can't afford to do that with like 10% of my health. But I am occupying their the bulk of their archers, which is pretty beneficial. See, right now I should probably give the open fire command to my infantry, but instead I gave them the hold fire. Bother. Yeah, I guess I haven't quite learned that lesson yet, but it is worthwhile, at least initially, for your troops to like open the fight with a thrown axe. But my troops, my infantry, are generally not shield wielding troops, and you saw the devastation those archers wreaked on them. Just not good. But we were still able to win this battle with only a loss of 6 troops. And they were all low-level troops anyway, so. But we did level up 67 of our troops, so that's a huge benefit. Like, even though we are outnumbered by that army of 516 sieging my castle, we may well be able to overcome that with better troops. I really have no idea of the quality of troops that I'm facing there, but one could assume, since we've had a pretty prolonged war and the Battanians have suffered pretty substantial losses in that war, that they're not high quality troops. So we're fighting this group of nearly 40 bandits. Oh, it's not even nearly 40, it's nearly 30 bandits. And I was having some issues organizing my troops. I was kind of fat fingering my commands, and I got frustrated with it and just told my infantry to attack, thinking that my infantry needs to level up more than anybody. And I maybe underestimated these these bandits. These hillmen can be pretty deadly with their javelins, and as I said before, my infantry don't generally have shields. We are losing troops, and I really don't like. So like I gave the attack command and I left them on open fire, so all of my troops that don't have throwing weapons went on to attack the enemy infantry on their own, and that put them in a pretty bad position because the rest, the bulk of my troops were on open fire and had throwing axes to throw at their cavalry. So that little engagement that should have only netted me tier ups on my troops actually resulted in my losing 5 troops, which was pretty awful. People tuning in for the first time may be wondering, what the heck? Why is he not recruiting from all of the villages around here, and he's only recruiting from his own villages? One of the rules that I've set for myself. Ooh, that's awesome. So Corain just had her baby, and on the same day, Ladogol discovered she was pregnant. And look at that, I've turned 25 years old. Besides, what a fantastic birthday present. Corain had a daughter, which is a bummer. We've only got 2 sons so far in this clan in the campaign, and that won't do. We need more sons. I think we've got 3 or 4 daughters who we're just going to end up having to marry off ultimately, which doesn't help us very much. So we're getting impatient with that siege. They're losing some troops, exchanging siege fire from their siege engines. I'm pretty impatient for them to start that battle, but it doesn't seem like they're going to. Like if they're going to the trouble of shooting each other with catapults, it means they're likely to be hoping to siege the fief until the garrison is starved out, and I don't particularly want that to happen. So we're gonna see about dealing with this noble warband, and then maybe we'll go ahead and see what we can do against that army. It's not a terrible thing to do, to like go ahead and initiate and engage in these closer melee fights with enemy cavalry, especially when they're in view of your archers. they can give you an advantage in that. Looks like Rob just made a level. He's fantastic. He's one of my favorite companions at this point. He has his focus points in all the right places and not very many wasted attributes. I think he's got like 1 wasted attribute, and it's in cunning, which isn't altogether wasted, especially being as I have him as one of my party leaders. Now currently my party leaders are really just holding troops for me. Like they aren't leading troops into battle, and so it's not as though they've got to have medicine skill. It would be nice if they had engineering skill, and then we'd be able to siege our targets more quickly. But The most important thing that they can have is troop capacity size. But second most important is, oof, oh no, the enemy archers hit my my horse and spooked it, so I'm gonna have to fight this on foot. I was saying the most important attribute they can have is stewardship, but second most would be scouting, to help them move more quickly on the map. The quicker they can move, the less likely they are to end up in a disadvantageous engagement when they're out recruiting for me. And also they help me to move more quickly while we're in an army, so it's not entirely wasted to have cunning attributes. I would maybe prefer at this point that wasted attribute be in intellect, but they aren't ultimately going to be my party leaders. Eventually we'll have some awesome clan members that will do that job for us. These guys are just filling in for them until they are born and turn 18 years old. So that's quite a ways in the future. So yeah, I think we're gonna risk it. We're outnumbered by about 181, and but if we start this fight and find that it is not to our advantage and we want to retreat, we can. So we're going to test the water with them and see what comes of it.
Go! Troops, follow me! Movement!
I like to try and position my troops on the other side of this hill at the very least, but I think I'll advance down the hill a little further so as to try and open up more of our view on the approaching enemy position. I see those 14 enemy cavalry, but oof, okay. They are defending the bridge. They're not advancing on my position, as I might have hoped. I'm going to go ahead and advance my troops and see if we can't deal with these cavalry at the very least, as they've positioned themselves poorly. I'm going to give my infantry the hold fire command so that if they are advanced on by cavalry, when they are advanced on by cavalry, they won't be trying to throw axes at them. Okay. This is a tricky spot. I'm not really in a good position to try and do my favored tactic when the enemy is playing defensively, which is to go and harry them until they decide it's time to come and fight my army. If we lose this, we're in a really bad spot. We would then only have the enemy's garrison. I mean, not the enemy's garrison. We would then only have Abcomer's garrison in order to defend it. So we can hardly afford to do that. I'm going to try and move my archers up to this position and see if we can't make them uncomfortable with a steady stream of archer fire. considering whether I ought to maybe just dismount and shoot at the enemies also, but I'm deciding that I'm going to go ahead and attack. It is a little bit more safe doing this under the cover of my archers, but still not entirely safe, as you can see. I'm down to half health now. It can be really beneficial for me to do that, because not only am I getting kills, but I'm opening up the enemy to the shots from my archers as they try and defend and or attack me. But I needed to move my archers up closer because they weren't able to, didn't have good shots. So I'm going to give it another try, see how this goes. We are scoring some kills. Just running through these guys and bumping into them staggers them and makes it more likely for my my archers to get past their shields. So that's why that's worth doing. Not to mention the 25 blunt damage they take when I do move through them like that. I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can't just help my archers by using my bow. It makes me uncomfortable, the thought of going down at this point. It's too early in the battle. Looks like the enemy is kind of racked with indecision. It seems like maybe the enemy AI registers what you're doing as a player and wants to react to that a certain way. Like, I think when it sees that you're on foot, it thinks, okay, it's time to engage with the infantry. But then they started running into my archers and realized that maybe wasn't the best course of action. We're starting to suffer some losses on my side as well, but it looks like the enemy troops are finally going to engage on us after they've lost, maybe 10% of their army. That being said, I'm going to go ahead and move my archers back to my infantry line and tell my infantry to open fire so that they can cover the movements of my archers. And I'll try and contribute to that effort myself. Okay, so now that my archers have reached the infantry, we're going to go ahead and give the charge command with my infantry and give the hold fire command to my archers and tell them to attack also. The reason why I'm doing this is because in this situation, numbers is king and the enemy has the numbers, but I can offset that by involving my archers as melee troops as well. You can see where we're winning. The power bar is in our favor at this point. see if I can't deal with some of these archers, because they are so, my troops are so prone to archer fire.
Fire at will!
And now that we've chewed through the enemy infantry, we're going to go ahead and give the open fire command so that we aren't just charging headlong into these enemy archers. We can throw some axes in them and kill them that way also. So it looks as though we've been victorious in this siege defense, where we were outnumbered nearly 2 to 1. And because we were successful in this siege defense, we are now in a pretty good position, not great, but pretty good position to make an attempt at Pencanic, and then we'll have a city to go with our castles, if we are able to pull that off. Anyway, this has been episode 37 of the Black Lion Origins campaign, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.